Hi, I'm Liz King Bradley, the founder of the Mama Masterminds, the life and relationship coach, the Happy Mama Coach. And my main belief in life is that life is lived happier when we're trusting in God. I help people rebuild their marriage relationships and clear the blocks that are in their way through their beliefs and clearing trauma and other issues like that to increase the connection that people feel in relationships together. That works as well in a marriage as it does with connecting with our children. My path in life my major path in learning in life has been through wife and motherhood. As I took wife and motherhood so very seriously and knew how very important it was to have good relationship with my spouse and also to have good relationships with my kids, it really motivated me to clear away the garbage and the blocks that were keeping me from seeing who I really was, were keeping them and that was keeping me from seeing who they really were and who my husband really is. As I had all this garbage in front of me, and also part of that was who I thought I was. I really couldn't see clearly who the people around me were because I was so full of pain and so full of guilt and shame that I was constantly trying to make excuses for myself or make excuses for others. So that I thought, so that I could live with myself, because I really believed that I wasn't worthy and that I was so undeserving. And I read in my journal recently this place where I talked about how blessed I was even though I was so very undeserving. And I think that that's a load of bull. I think I was blessed because I'm a beloved daughter of God and He loves me, and it's not about whether or not I'm perfect or whether I can check everything off my list. It's about whether I'm willing to accept His love and the gifts that He offers me, and that includes the atonement of Jesus Christ. As long as I felt unworthy and undeserving, I could never accept those gifts because I pushed it away. It was only when I opened myself up to the possibility that even though I couldn't check everything off the list of what I believed was a perfect woman or a perfect wife or a perfect mother, that God would help me to become that person that I want to be, because deep inside the reason I have those desires is because that's who I really am, and that's the potential that I'm here to bring forward into my physical life. As a spirit daughter of God, I know that I have the potential and the capacity to be just like God, but in this life that I live in a physical body, I'm only 30 something years old, and 30 something years is not enough time to measure up to God, who I believe is, infinitely old, I guess is the right, I don't know, that He's been around for thousands of years longer than me. And so but through Jesus Christ, He's offered me a way to be able to still be in contact with Him and to receive all the blessings that I need in order to become as He is. And I truly believe that that's His desire for me as His daughter, to become like Him. And that's why He sent me a Savior, Jesus Christ, to pave the way. I grew up knowing these principles, but I didn't have a good way of applying them in my life. I just misunderstood some things along the way. And what I began to understand was, as long as I was making excuses for myself, blaming other people, and looking for other people around me to change so that I could be happy, I could never, ever, ever find that happiness, because it was nobody else's responsibility, and because the inability to be happy was within me. I was the one preventing my own happiness. And the principles that I found that helped me to be able to reach out and receive the blessings and the gifts that God already wanted to give me were, number one, accountability. I'm accountable for my results, and what others do to me or say to me are a reflection of what I believe about myself. I learned that everyone's behavior to me was really my secret hate, everyone's harmful behavior to me was really my secret hatred of myself coming out. And the reason that things that certain people would say or do would hurt was because it triggered that part of me that believed that whatever they were saying or however they were treating me was what I deserved, and what I really thought about myself. And when I began to see that, I began to excuse me, that created a space to forgive everybody else, because what I realized is that that was a gift. It was a gift for me to see what I was really doing to myself inside. And then I could take the burden of change and of resentment and guilt off of them, and also at the same time off of me. That is the magic of forgiveness, that when we relieve others of that burden of blame, we relieve ourselves as well. And I learned to do that. There are some times when all it really took was just to look at it and go, well, this is what was coming from me, and it was just gone. It was that quick. There were other experiences that were more painful and more traumatic, and what I found helpful were some practices and tools that I was able to implement to help me to remember and access my Savior's love and the atonement in a way that made it concrete, in a way that I could understand with my physical concrete mind, and that would also sink into my spirit and my soul and my energy. Another important principle that I learned was to think positively, but address concerns and answer the questions of fears. There's been some experiences I had where I was so busy thinking positively that what I was really doing was being in denial. I was pretending that things were other than they were and not dealing with the situation. Our fears and our angers and resentments that come up, they're coming up for a reason. And while it's not a good idea for us to wallow in them and make them our best friends, it's important for us to address those concerns, to answer those fears, and to answer the anger. And we all know the truth. We all have access to the truth. And when we decide to turn around and face that fear, it's amazing how much smaller it gets. And I've learned one by one to just look at my fears and find the truth that I know inside of me and answer that fear. Fear of I'm not enough. Well, you know what? I'm enough, because you know what? I am God's daughter. He's not going to leave me alone. He's given me everything that I need, and all I need to do is accept it and make myself ready to receive it. And then another thing that I've learned is that God is responsible for changing hearts, and I am responsible to serve God. It was a critical change for me when I learned, instead of to pray that my husband would change in a way that would make me feel more comfortable, happy, and make my life more convenient. It was much better for me when I learned to pray, God, how can I serve you by serving my husband today? What can I do to serve you in service to my husband today? And that way, instead of me manipulating and controlling my husband, and that's really what it is when we are changing our behavior in order to change another person, that's manipulation. So instead of manipulating and trying to control the situation, I began to simply be willing and obedient servant to God. And one of the most powerful things that changed for me and for my relationship was that when I did things, it didn't matter how my husband reacted to me. I didn't have to get angry and resentful because I gave such and such, but he didn't give such and such back. And that's really what the agreement is, and that is called conditional love. If we're behaving in a certain way so that another person will behave in another way, that is conditional love, and it's a manipulation. And I learned that I could love my husband completely and freely when I stopped trying to change him, and when I started being accountable for my results and realizing that he may be the head of our household, but I am still a human being. I am still a separate person, and I still am responsible to God for carrying out the inspiration and the directions that he gives for me, and that I had no business saying, oh, but you should be doing this. Because that is not up to me. I'm not in charge of him. I invite you to come along with this journey and find out more details about what I'm saying, because there is a lot more to learn. Check out the free video series on my website, or sign up for a free Happy Mama strategy session. If you're not a woman, I do work with males. I just specialize in working with women, and I invite you to create a great life for yourself and have a very blessed day. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye bye.